Yes, people, Albert JTV is back once again. Match review time. Ukraine 0, England, the mighty Lions, 3 Lions. It's possibly coming home 4. But before we get into anything, people, let's hit the intro once again. Yes, people, once again, smash that like button, hit the notification bell. But before we do anything else towards this review, you guys should know what to do by now. And there you have it once again for the 20 millionth time. But I still need to remind people because sometimes they might forget. But yeah, man, day after the night in Rome. Let's big up people in the chat. Russ is in there already. Laurie's in there. Uncle Laurie's in there. Big up the people in there, man. Great support through this Euro content series. Souls, once again, welcome aboard, bruv.
No, I just want to thank the people, really. Good, yeah. Like a response, which is overwhelming. But yeah, no, thank you for obviously tuning in. And yeah, we thought it could have been our last one against Germany, but we're continuing. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's coming home, people.
Well, I'm a little bit different to Souls. It could possibly come home. The key word in that, as you saw with the sentence. But yeah, it's time to get serious when we play Germany. But yeah, the stakes are ramping up a lot come Wednesday. But people, like I said, I'll put this on my IGTV on Instagram, Spotify, and Anchor for my audio listeners. Of course, I won't forget you, so it'll go on there as well. But with further ado, we've got a very special guest from stateside. The Arsenal brother of all brothers. Let's bring him in. Regular supporter of my channel, Gary. Big up WDT. Big up DWTT.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, Albert, Souls, everybody in the chat. I see Russ and Laurie, and whoever else joins us later. Welcome.
No, Gary, much love for coming on, man. We had you on the Euro preview show back in June 11th. It feels like a lifetime ago. So much to ask you, and I'm glad I got you on actually because obviously being in stateside, you can sort of have a different view from anybody else and sort of take the heat out of the fire as to such. But yeah, sort of the first question to ask you sort of straight away is what were your expectations of England before the start of the tournament, and also what have you made of the tournament as a whole so far?
Yeah, going in, I looked at the team and I said, you know what, I think they've got a really deep squad, right? I mean, everywhere you look, they've got a backup for every position, basically. I mean, the goalkeeper is the one that we kind of, we thought we had that was pretty set, and then we had to make changes there. But it wasn't a bad choice, to get the number 2 in there, I think. So everywhere you looked, I think we've got everything we need in terms of the squad depth that you need in a tournament like this. So I was looking, so I figured, you know what, this looks like a good team. Germany was a little bit down, Spain was a little bit down, Italy was going to be the surprise team for most. They've got a pretty experienced team, so if anything, they were going to use that to better themselves. It looked you take all of the players on the England squad and you kind of compare them with all the other teams. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure where they lose, because you go to the bench and they can bring on really good players. I mean, there's players now that we still haven't even got to see, really, right? They come in and do spot minutes here and there, and we're still saying, you know what, Grealish didn't even play in the last game, right? He didn't even play in the last game, so he's going to be rested if he gets used again. Saka didn't play. Once again, I think Sancho showed, why there could be a battle between the two of them for spots. Foden, did he play? I don't even think he played yesterday. No, he didn't play either. So I don't think he's kicked a ball since Scotland. Actually. Yeah, so you've got a deep squad. Southgate. It's like you can't mess this one up, right? You can't mess this one up. No matter, even when he goes and does things we don't even like, it works because he's got quality and depth. So even if what is the best 11 right now? I don't think we may not ever see it, right? We may not see the best 11 play just because all the other teams just can't keep up. So I think going in, I thought England had a good chance because they had the depth. And that's what you need, right? You need that when the games come every 3 or 4 days. You need one, so they can do that. So, and they're showing it, and it's not even, sometimes you're like, okay, you get lucky here and there. I don't think so. I haven't seen any of that, like where I can look back and go, well, they got really lucky here. No, I mean, besides the Scotland game, it's pretty much been England taking care of business the way that you expect them to, right? Kane finally wakes up. Right, the last couple of games, you're seeing your captain and your one of the top strikers in the world doing what you expect him to do. So I watched the replay of the game a couple of times, and it's like Harry, and I'm like, I don't like you guys, I really don't. But you know what? I'm loving this, right? I get, as I've said on multiple times, yes, I am in England. I'm sorry, I am in USA, but I'm British born. I mean, I know some people, I'll say this, and you probably hear it around that, some people are probably taking the British card away from me just because I don't live there anymore. But, it still says British on my passport. So I can say I'm British to that degree. And, it's the Euro, so I don't have this is my team. So I'm going to go with that. And the fact that I know most of the players actually makes it easy too, right? So you can see them. I can talk about them as much as I can. So yeah, it's I think England's doing exactly what we wanted, and every time they come out, no matter what, we see something good from them. So it's only gotten better each time. And this Ukraine game was going to be the easiest, probably quarterfinals out there. And we took care of business. Took a little bit of time for me, but I think. As a whole, England's been doing pretty well compared to the other teams. And, we'll see how, as it goes, next one I think is going to be the Ukraine game was all about, I think, just a squad that was beat up. Denmark
that game killed them, and then they got to travel from Hampden Park to Scotland. So from Hampden Park to Rome. Yeah. They look tired.
So the next one is going to be all about playing for something untangible, right? They've got a little bit of they've got Christensen that they're playing for, on top of the fact that they're not a bad team, right? So now you give an athlete a little bit extra juice, something else to get them to play for, and you're going to get the best out of them. So we're going to have to fight that as well, And the fact that I think it doesn't matter how the game goes as well, because we got 5 subs. Right, you can take 5 players off our team that could probably start in a match, and so, if things aren't going the way we want, we can switch things up, and you can see some good things. We've seen it before when we brought on Grealish; he just has the fresher legs, and it looks so much better, right? So, yeah, so it's there. I think they're gonna have to work hard and make it look easy, right?
Yeah,
work hard, make it look easy, and then we'll see it. We should be able to hopefully make it to the finals and go from there.
Yeah, just quickly before I sort of pose the next question to you, and Souls probably want to put a question in after my next one. But what have you made of the tournament as a whole? And let me give you a bit of context. Me and Souls and spoken as well with what games and that Belgium-Italy game was first class. The France-Switzerland game was brilliant. Like I love tournament football. There's a thing we've spoken about this on previous shows, me and Souls, and with some of the guests in terms of sort of how England fans view England. Because the minute you mention international football, they just completely turn off. But like I said, I think Southgate's done a good thing in terms of changing the culture of the squad environment. But yeah, in terms of the games of the tournament, or what have you made of the tournament as a whole, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the matches. I mean, you're getting a little bit of everything. I mean, the fact that the leading scorer's own goal makes it even crazier that you don't have a standout striker that's out there basically putting balls in, because the ball is just going the wrong way for many teams, except for England so far. So cross your fingers, right? You continue to show that defense. But yeah, I think the games have been entertaining. I've enjoyed it. I mean, was the round of 16 games, basically sat here watching a lot of them. And, you think, all right, 10 minutes with a 2-goal lead, Yeah, you should be able to. This is international football. You should be able to finish it off. But you got to remember the other team is playing there, also thinking, you know what, I've got 10 minutes to make something happen, or else the season's, the tournament's over for us. And we've seen a couple of teams come back, right, 2 down, and still make a game of it. So it's been entertaining in that sense. Seen some surprise teams, right? Ukraine is, nobody thought they would be this deep, right? So I think. It's been pretty. I've enjoyed the matches. I mean, I don't think there's necessarily been one where I kind of looked at it and went, "Wow." I mean, the Scotland game with the long shot, from so deep, you're like, "Okay, wow," So I think, and as a whole, I believe this has been pretty entertaining. I mean, I think it would be probably a little different if it was set up like most of them in the past, right, where it's all in the same country or region essentially, but. I think the teams have been able to handle it as best they can. I think also the fact that England's only going to play one game outside the country, right, is a bonus for them. So that you should take advantage because, it probably won't happen again, right? It won't happen again because they want to give any, the big teams the advantages, So I think they should take advantage of this one and run with it. They give you some good some hands to start with. You should take it and run with it, and don't look back. And So I've enjoyed all the games. I've enjoyed all the games. I've hated the fact that a lot of them had to go to penalty kicks. I've hated that in the sense that they teams work pretty hard, and it comes down to just not being able to put the ball between the two. In a little square box, right? I mean. Yeah. And then you think games are lost after the first missed goal, and it's like, nope, no, it's not lost here, and Spain is able to get through, right? I mean, that match in itself is, kind of epitomizes what you're seeing in this game. Nobody expected Switzerland to kind of be able to at least hold on and get into go, 150 minutes, 120 minutes without getting behind. So, and then going into penalty kicks like that, I think it so it was pretty cool to see that kind of game. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it.
No, of course. So before I come to you, man, I'll pose a question to you, and obviously I'm gonna get Gary's opinion as well. But big up to people in chat. Russ is in there, Uncle Laurie, Mick Moran, my Liverpool bro, Arsenal fan circle. Big up to you guys, man. Thank you for tuning in on this late Sunday evening. It's much appreciated. But guys, like I said, follow my esteemed guests on their Twitter handles going along the bottom of the screen and also in their display boxes they speak. Don't think about it, people. Go and do it. But Souls, thought the game yesterday. Obviously, England won 4-0, so it's quite emphatic. Probably could have scored more, to be honest with you. But people still talk about creativity, which I get. I do kind of get. But what do England sort of need to do better on top of what you saw yesterday? Audio listeners, before you speak, so I will get some images on screen of the team lineup and some other stats during the course of the live stream. So, take it away, man. What do you think England need to do better from what you saw, more so just from that game yesterday as opposed to the whole tournament, as I say?
I think yesterday, one of the positives that came out of it was one thing that Southgate always talked about was taking advantage of dead ball situations. And yesterday we missed some, but the two goals came from a set piece. Luke Shaw whipping it in on a free kick, obviously Harry Kane scoring off that, and then obviously Harry Maguire on a corner, which obviously finally that's come to fruition. And he talks about it. There's small margins, but they can really help you win a game. And I think we've not seen that all tournament, but yesterday that did happen. And I think he's starting to realize he doesn't need to play Trippier, for set pieces only. And that's one of the things. And I think the overall team kind of benefits from that. My only sort of critique would be, I agree. I don't think the creativity was brilliant, but I don't think it was bad. I think we miss someone like a Saka or a Grealish, someone who can. The problem is, I don't want to point out Sancho because I understand this is his only sort of appearance and he's not even featured in the tournament before this. But my issue is it's too late in the tournament to now be that sentiment or be oh, but look at it, but look at what Sancho's done. But if that's the performance we have to go off of, if he's not ready and if he's not fit and he's rusty, I said it to you, Albert, yesterday, it's a semi-final. I don't have time for favourites. I don't have time for sentiment. This is the biggest opportunity to get to a major tournament final for England in how many years? Like, so this is incredible, because I'm not underestimating Denmark like many people, but if we sort of take away everything on paper, we've got the bigger and the better squad. Our bench is probably, in a way competing against their first team in terms of talent and ability. So it's a good opportunity. It's a very good opportunity. And I've said this before, tournament football can have its surprises, and Denmark could do that. I'm not writing them off, but I just think we should have the quality to beat them. And I think someone like a Grealish coming in will help, because Ukraine were tired. I said this from like 20 minutes into the game. I go, you can tell they're tired. Those passes going into throw-ins, and I'm like, I can tell they've got heavy legs, and that's down to them playing 120 minutes. And it wasn't like 120 minutes of it was 120 minutes of good, intense football. And I think it was a good game. And I think because the levels were so close for Ukraine and Sweden, and it was fine margins that were separating them, it was literally, it could have been anyone's game. And I don't think the red card helped. I think the red card really turned the tie. And that's what I'm talking about, the fine margins. It literally took a play to go off to turn the tide a bit. And it went into extra time. You know what extra time can do for any team. Forget about a team that doesn't have any depth. Yeah. And we did take advantage of that. That's the only one thing I can say. We did take advantage. Like you said, there could have been more. I think the last 20 minutes when all those substitutions were made, the whole game kind of just died out. It was just like, go get your minutes, whatever, do what you need to do. Just close the game out. I'm glad we got the clean sheet. I wasn't really in doubt we were going to do it, other than like Pickford had like two shaky moments. That one was a major one. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then one of them was like a bit of a or whatever. But I think it's harsh to say, but I think Mount isn't creative enough. And I hate to say it, but he had a good game. It's not him. He wasn't a bad player. It's just we need a cutting edge. We need create like an actual creative outlet. And I think someone like a Grealish coming in. Not even Grealish, it could be Saka. Like, I know that sounds a bit biased, but even a Foden, I think, might suit Denmark a bit better than Mount. And I think that's the only criticism I have personally. But there was, like I said, the positives, set pieces, finally we took advantage of them, which we should be able to do. Harry Maguire, Harry Kane, obviously Jordan Henderson scored off a set pieces of a corner. So we're finally taking advantage of the height, the power that we have. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Harry Kane, when you're in the box, it's not a hard formula to follow, lad. But yeah, finally, he's seemingly going a lot further up the pitch. And he drops back a bit, but I can live with a bit. But I just hated it when in the group stages when he constantly done it. And that was my only criticism. Because when we see the difference now, when we got into those attacking thirds, we're like, oh shit, we've got Kane in the box, straight in, whipped in a ball, and something could happen. Whereas with before, we were then holding it, and they were looking like, all right, come on. And the problem is, if you wait too long, the opportunity is gone. Especially with a cross. A cross has to be done sort of straight away, or you can have another touch, and that's it. Once that second touch is taken, that's it. The crossing opportunity is gone. So I think it's good. I think there's 4 goals, clean sheet. It will give them a hell of a lot of confidence, but I hope they're not overly confident. That's my only sort of thing to say. Mute. You're muted.
Nice one, mate. That's what I've been trying to. But yeah, that was a good point. So, Gary, before I come to you, mate, my thing sort of let me take the first part, which is my kind of nitpickings of England, particularly in the first half. For me, they look comfortable, and I said to Souls in the halftime break when I was listening to the punditry at halftime, and I must have been watching a different game. I mean, England were comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I would say first 25, 30 minutes, but for me, they completely lost ascendancy in them last 15 minutes. And I said to Souls and Ryan on the live stream, halftime needs to come now because they're going to concede. Kyle Walker, I've had my reservations about him for quite a long time, actually. Even, yes, he plays for a very good club side in Man City, but for me, Roy Keane said it a bit more harshly quite a while ago. Call him a clown. But for someone who's experienced, he makes too many mistakes, man. But do you agree with Guy? What did you sort of see in the first half? Do you agree with what I'm saying, or do you?
No, there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot. I mean, England won 4-0, but there's a lot still to be worked on, right? Because I feel like that first half, the one goal, that should be a disappointment in the way that the game should have gone, right? I mean, this team was tired, and it showed in the second half. And I don't think England jumped. I'm going to say we, because I don't think we jumped out and took it to them early in that match. I mean, after we scored the first goal, it looked like we were fine with the score at that point. Like you said, I mean, Harry Kane being up top there, as soon as, if you watch the replay of that goal from Sterling, he actually gets knocked off the ball, which actually gives him space. He attacks the ball, gets to it first, pushes it into the box. Harry's there to pounce on it, and you get a score. The next like 30, 40 minutes, those type of opportunities just disappeared a couple of times. A lot of times you would look and you would see, like you said, you see Harry so deep that, you know what, there's no way they're going to be able to get the attack the way they want. And so that's where, if he's going to critique, if Southgate's going to critique the team, it's going to be for that, kind of what they did after they scored. It seemed like they were content with the way the game was going, when in fact they probably should have continued to press on the gas and finish them off pretty soon. I mean, Kane probably could have got his hat trick and be out, early in the second half, right? The way the game should have gone, based on what we want to see out of him. I mean, I hate, as an Arsenal fan, asking Harry Kane to go out there and finish off this game is kind of it's a little hard on me. But
listen, you're right. I've seen a lot worse chopping.
but that's where we are, right? That's where we are, right? He is playing on a really strong team, and it should be easy for him to get opportunities to score. Should be easy. I mean, I'm going to jump around a little bit because there was a lot of things that were talked about, and England did this, like you said, without Grealish there, Saka being hurt, and it's just like I said. I don't know if we're going to get to see the strongest 11 that England has. Because, I mean, even Henderson coming in late, if he was healthy going into this, would he probably have started? He might have, right? Based on the confidence that Southgate has in some of his senior players, he'd probably be a player that he'd be confident to put in there and expect certain things from him. So it's strange to see that, you may not see the best 11, but it may be more than enough because of the depth that they have. The Sancho Saka thing for me is like, Saka's first time playing, man of the match, right? Sancho's first time playing, okay, and that might be because, okay, he's done a lot more than Saka has in his domestic league, but you see it when Grealish and Saka come onto the field. The team dynamics change a little bit. They don't go out there screaming for the attention, but they actually go out there and perform enough that you just notice it, right? You notice a difference in the way the team plays. Sancho has got a little bit of that in there, not there yet. Maybe he'll grow and get there, but Saka's been asked to do a lot. Grealish has been asked to do a lot. I don't think Sancho's been asked to do a lot yet. And that's probably the difference in the way that the style of play when they come onto the field, because they know, what, I can do this, and I keep doing it every time I come out. So it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have when you kind of go, well, who do I, do I go with Sancho? Do I go with Saka? I don't think you can go wrong with them if those are some of the two players that you got to compete for positions with. So I think that's why England's just, they say they're just pretty stacked, right? They've got their bench is strong. Their bench could compete with their first team if they really wanted to. So it's a good thing to see. But yeah, if you're gonna critique it, I think scoring from set pieces and the headers, I think that they got away with it, because I feel like if this was Denmark, it if they were playing Denmark in this match and they went up 1, and then they gave up those type of opportunities in that second, late in that first half, Denmark might take advantage and actually score, right, and make it a game. That's kind of how I feel about it, right? The way Denmark's playing, I think a fresh Ukraine team may have scored. So to that degree, some of it is lucky, but I think the quality that England has, they should be able to overcome anything that comes their way, at least in the semis. And yeah. So looking forward to it. It should be it's a game where what we saw in that first 5 minutes, we're going to want to see probably for a lot longer to start a match. Because they can do it, and we'll see. Based on the lineups, we'll know a little bit more of how things may pan out, right? So we'll see if the Grealishes or the Sakas get to play. Even the Fodens come in. So we'll see what happens there. But they've got what they need to get the job done. So it's time to perform, and I think they can do better. I mean, I think that first half is where they could do better. The second half is where they kind of showed, what, we're still here. This team is fading. This team is fading. And as soon as that second goal went in, you pretty much said, you know what, we got this. And then, just ran away with it after that. So need to do it in the first half for a full 45 minutes and then hopefully coast in and get ready for the finals. But we'll see.
Well, don't say that word final. Don't say that word final yet, man. Don't say it.
That's the plan, though, right? No, I'm not saying it, but that's the plan, right? The plan is to win the next match. So, and based on this, we've shown a way we can do that.
No, that's what I like to hear. Big up to people in the chat. If you want to drop a question in, then I'll try and squeeze it in. So I want to sort of keep it so that these guys have a nice Sunday chilled evening and not too long. Plus, I've got to do a bit of prep for the stream for tomorrow, and hopefully a few more of England do well enough. But so I was coming to you, mate. You might want to have a question for Gary afterwards. England made a couple of changes which we thought they would do. I wasn't particularly sure where they would, but they did. Obviously, Trippier and Saka were missing, or didn't start, shall I say, and Mount and Sancho came in. But in terms of the semi-final, do you expect there to be the same amount of changes or near enough the same team?
No, 100%. I personally would. And I think the reason why I would do it is the minute that first goal went in, I think the whole... And I was saying this on the stream, and I know I was saying it a bit bantery, but I was kind of being real with it. We lacked that killer instinct. We started showing respect, and it's like...
Yeah.
In league football, you can do it. But in tournament football, that instinct, that sort of mentality needs to stick with you. Yeah. And you need to be like, you know what? We're showing no mercy. And that's the reason why I say that is because if you don't show mercy, and it's sort of that City sort of Pep mentality, and they'll score one, they'll be like, on to the next, and Pep will never let them celebrate. Like, they can celebrate, but he'll be like, no, back on it, another. And that's the reason why you do that is because you'll never get comfortable. And that's what happened for that sort of 20 minutes near the end of the half, where we were literally screaming, yo, this half needs to end now because something isn't going right. And I'm not saying it's down to the two personnel. I'm about to say, no, I want to see them changed. It's not really down to them. But as a whole, I think one thing, I just want to see a bit more of a killer instinct and wanting to take the game rather than, we're comfortable now, let's just kind of do our thing and sit back. I don't mind it. I don't mind conserving your energy, but try and make those chances happen. And for me, like, Sancho was all right. He wasn't brilliant. He wasn't amazing. He was all right. Like, the thing is, when Grealish and Saka get the ball, you can bet your house something's going to happen. Whereas with Sancho, it didn't feel that way. And again, like I said before, I don't want to criticize him because it was his first game. But unfortunately, it's a bit too late for me to sit there and say, we'll give him a chance. Hopefully he comes through because it's a semi-final. I can't do that. That's not, me, Albert, like, I want to win. That's just the way I am. And the winning formula is you bring the players who are ready to play. This isn't a group stage that doesn't mean anything. This isn't, a first leg, or this isn't a second leg where we've absolutely bullied the team already. This is one chance only to go through. You bring Grealish back in because there's nothing wrong with him. Saka, I can't say anything because I don't know what the injury is, nor do I know the extent of it or whether he was if he's training again. So I'd have to look into that before I can say whether Saka needs to be brought back in. But let's say Saka's injured. I think the way Denmark play, I feel like Foden can open up that defense more than a Mount can. And Mount's more of a number 8. He's not a creative outlet. He's more of a Lampard sort of a...
Yeah, he runs onto things. Yeah.
A goal scorer late runs into... And I think for this game, we need Grealish and Foden to come in because I think the way Kane's now starting to play, he'll really benefit him and being in the box. And I think they're the two that I'll definitely make. I don't think he will take Walker out, but I just... I'm just a bit scared. I don't know what we're gonna get with him. That's my issue.
My thoughts.
It's like he can't. Like the thing is, he can do good. Like I'm not saying it's all terrible. But
he's better for me.
He's a liability.
He's better in a free. I wouldn't. When you're playing a flat back four, I don't want to see him playing a right back.
So I think for me, like I'd bring Trippier in personally. I just think James not been given enough of an opportunity to bring into a semi-final. That's the only reason. I'm not saying he's a bad player before people get on to me. It's just literally I just think people who are slightly more ready should be playing. It's just too far gone. This isn't a friendly anymore. This is serious, bro. And they're the sort of 2/3 changes I'd make.
No, well said. Russ put in a good question. It sort of touched on nicely, beautifully, Russ. Well done, Russ, for what I'm going to sort of pull up. It was, let me see if I can find it. There's some great stats, not everything, but I read some unbelievable ones for England, actually. And I'm sort of going to touch on Southgate. So audio listeners, I'll put up a graphic on the screen. Souls and Gary, before I bring you in for your opinions, I wasn't even aware of some of the stats I saw, but yeah, Gareth Southgate is it back-to-back semi-finals. Only Sir Ralph Ramsey's the only other person. That's going back a long, long way. England, was it 7 consecutive clean sheets, the first time in their history. Jordan Pickford, 5 clean sheets of the Euros. No other goalkeeper's done that at any single stage of the competition ever. Some of the stuff for Sterling and Kane. Sterling has provided 6 assists for Harry Kane for England in all competitions, more than any other England player assisted any other in the 21st century. It's Sterling involved in 22 goals in the past 21 games, 15 goals, 7 assists. Kane involved in 27 in the past 26, 18 goals, 9 assists. I was like, wow. That's what it brings me on to Southgate, really. Going to come to Gary first, actually. The frustrating thing for me with Gareth Southgate is when you listen to him talk, you know, he played for England for a number of caps, part of obviously Euro 96, kind of full circle 25 years later on. We've got a semi-final on Wednesday, but he's a very articulate man. He knows what he's talking about. He's done, for me, in terms of the younger players, been brought through. I've seen a lot of England, as I said to a lot of people in the past few streams, and under previous England managers, none of these youngsters would have got a chance. And I mean that. I don't think they would have got a chance because, you know, the tried and tested, the experience, which you do need. But that's one good thing Gareth Southgate has done. None of these clicks that Rio Ferdinand talked about a few years ago, which really still riles me to this day, to be honest with you. But Southgate's interesting. I said before the start of the tournament that for me, for him to not even keep his job, because anybody who has any understanding of the English FA, it's kind of the boys' club, and you know, we'll give you a contract even if you do miserably well, even if you do miserably, i.e. Roy Hodgson 2014. But Southgate, you know what? You have to give him a little bit of credit. Yes, we can be critical. We're allowed to do that. We don't see major tournaments very often. So yeah, Gary, what have you made of his time as England manager, and also what you've seen in the Euros, you know, at this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, coming into this, it was always going to be, is Southgate going to be the reason why, you know, the team struggles, right? You know, is his lineup's going to be sound? Is he going to pick the right amount of players. First thing comes out, right? You got all these right backs. Is that going to work for you? Is there any reason why you can't get a left-footed player to play on the left side there? That's so those little things came up. I mean, I like most. I guess coming from an Arsenal as an Arsenal fan, he's got some confidence in a lot of these players that no matter what he does, no matter how he sets it up, it's going to get something out of them. And he's got some really good players that are going to overcome anything he puts in front that maybe it's a bad tactic or a bad lineup, in a sense that they can overcome a lot of these things. So I believe that's what we're seeing. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't seem to matter so far what he does in terms of lineups, because that's usually where people have questions about what's going on. It seems it's working out because he does have the players, right, and they are playing well. I mean, the young players are getting opportunities, and to me, are there, I guess I know the answer to this question, but are there a lot of older players that are missing from this squad that would have made it even better? Because how much better can they do than what they're doing so far, right? They've kind of grown into this tournament from those first three group games, and basically have excelled each time they've come out. So it's kind of hard to look at that and go, what? I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I would have, after the first two matches, I would have been happy. I would have said, Kane and Sterling, why don't you sit for a little while and get a little, and then come in and because we should be through to the next round. So, take a break, because I did, he stayed with them, and they're pulling through. But I have a feeling they would have pulled through no matter what. But I would have liked to have made sure that you have, like we're talking about Sancho, and we're talking about probably Calvin Lewin. What if we have to go to our bench in certain areas? We don't know if what striker do we bring in who's had some substantial time to play? We don't have that. And the way the first two games were going, I don't know if he needed to work out some kinks, but it would have been nice to see Calvin Lewin come in and maybe get some minutes, right, if he's healthy to play. So that's kind of what I saw there. But yeah, what Southgate's doing, I think, is working well. He's not listening to us, right? So which is good, because he knows what he wants out of his players, and they're playing for him. So it's good to see.
Gary, just to come in, sorry, just I think what it is, the England manager's job, it comes under no other scrutiny than any other job I've ever seen in football. You'll hear Ericsson probably say the same thing. Capella will definitely say the same thing. Even some of the English guys that have had it, in terms of Keegan and Steve McLaren. And Southgate knows that. You know what I mean? You played in a very, very good England side back in '96 to '98, I'd say probably. But so he accepts that the criticism, he's sometimes a dead man walking. I mean, listen, I've criticized Gareth Southgate. Some people probably, from what I see social media wise, take it a little bit too far. But there's no denying like I said it in a couple streams ago, I've not seen an England side in my lifetime have the togetherness that this squad has got by a country mile. Like I said before, togetherness is not going to solely win you a tournament, but it's going to help. That's what infuriates me with what Rio Ferdinand said a few years ago about England. I just thought, you know what are you talking about? You're on international duty for your country in a major tournament where you were seen as the golden generation. You'd rather put club loyalty and not your rivals getting one up on over you than the best interest of the national side. I don't get that. I generally don't understand that. So sort of bringing you in, mate. What's your thoughts sort of on Southgate? And obviously he's touched on some of the stats I read out in terms of England.
It's annoying, isn't it? It's so annoying, because I tweeted out obviously today, and I was speaking to my brother about the whole tournament and obviously Denmark and what we think. And I was saying it to him, and I go, Southgate, you know what it is? It's annoying because I don't. Because the thing is, you can't even say he's not getting the best out of this team anymore, because he actually is. The only problem is, I do think he needs to win something, and this is probably his best. But to be fair, the World Cup, he should have gotten to the final, in my opinion. Nations Cup was a very good opportunity to at least get to the final. And again, he's got another great opportunity to get to the final. And the problem is, like you say, international football doesn't come around a lot.
No.
And if you can't get to the thing, I said, if we go to the final and let's say hypothetically, because the likelihood is we're probably going to face Italy. If we look at it on paper, that's probably majority opinion. I'd say if we have a hard fought, like we really tried, and we just lost like 1-0, let's say, a heartbreak, then you can give him another opportunity. You can give him the World Cup. You can do, try and do further with him. But the problem is, if he doesn't get us to the final, it's like, when are you planning to do it? Because other than brilliant, you beat Germany, absolutely fantastic, and I've given him a lot of props, and I've said I go to him, look, his record speaks for itself. Like 7 clean sheets, the first time in 50 like since the Euros we've ever won an opening game. Actually won it, not drawn, won a game. We won a penalty. Obviously, we've been better at penalty shootouts than we've ever been before.
There are positives.
Now it's 3 semi-finals that we're in, and you do have to take that. And I do give him the props for that. But my only criticism is when we really look at it, should he have made those finals? Yes, in my opinion.
I thought the World Cup in 2018 was a big chance. Yeah.
And that's my criticism. It's like, if you can't get us over that final hurdle, how many more years can we give him with those players like this? Because the thing is, it's not every year, it's every 2 years or so it depends on how you view it. It's every 2 years or every 4 years, depending on the tournament again. It's like, look at Foden, he'll be I know these guys won't be too old because they are a young squad, but Kane will be pretty much out in about or he might be looking to retire. Maybe he can't deal with the pressures and sticking to tournament football, the demands of it, because it is like sort of every 3, maybe 2 days that you have to play. Henderson probably more than likely retiring soon from international football, and it's like some of the talisman are going to then retire, so they probably have another tournament in them, or maybe just maybe, I don't know if they'll start, but they might have another, like the Euros again, but that'll be 4 years time, so we'll have to wait and see how, like, for example, Kane's ankle holds up. And this isn't I'm not dissing him, I'm just saying genuinely, like, we don't know how his ankle will hold up because he does get those niggly injuries. So it's tough, but I think that is international football. Sometimes, even though you've done so well, because you've got limited opportunities for success, you have to be a little bit more ruthless. And I think that, because you can't buy a player, you can't go, oh yeah, Kane's gone. Oh, I like this guy, let me bring him in. Like, you can't do that. You're kind of limited to what
I'll put a shirt on and play, man. Don't worry about it.
So I think that's my only, because this again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm dismissing Denmark, but we should be beating them. That's my problem.
The only thing I said about the Denmark thing, and I've said this quite a few times, with Scandinavian teams, they play a very similar British style. Denmark are a lot better than what people probably think. They beat England at Wembley, I think, last year in the Nations League, I believe it was. And you've seen this tournament, they've been galvanized by the whole Christian Eriksen thing. They're a very good side. Defensively, they're very good. Kasper Schmeichel's a good goalkeeper. You've got Vestergaard there. You've got Simon Kjær. Christensen's been outstanding. You got the fullback, the left back. I can't remember his name, so you probably tell me. The two boys in midfield have been phenomenal. Delaney and Højbjerg.
Oh, you're talking about Meyer?
That's the one, yeah. And then you got the two boys, Dolberg and the other guy I forgot. So they're a very good side. Like, let's not beat about the
Delaney as well. Delaney's had a good
Delaney and Højbjerg in the middle. So
and then is it Dolberg, their striker? One of the strikers. He's had a good.
So, I hear what you're saying, Souls. I just think, for me, they're one of the better sides.
No, they are, because I mean, they're absolutely battered Wales. They absolutely. They got unlucky against Belgium. I think the whole situation just kind of took the wind out of them for that one game, and then they sort of rejuvenated. And who did they beat again in the group stages? They beat them also like 3-0 or something.
Finland,
they battered them as well.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would say, so to some England fans, and obviously I'm excited. I wouldn't, semi-finals don't come around very often. Watching England, let's be honest, you have to go. You have to live a lot of years to have seen it. There's a lot of younger audience that have never seen a semi-final for England. They've never seen England beat Germany. I've never seen England beat Germany in a major tournament. I mean, I wasn't born in '66 like many people. So it's a massive, massive opportunity, and they don't come around very often. It's going to be a big game come Wednesday, but I understand England have the players to get the job done to make a final, which is something that I'm really looking forward to potentially. But that's the only thing I'd say to England fans in terms of Denmark. Anybody remembers 1992 and 2004 in European Championship history? Stranger things can happen. So yeah, I'll say that. But Gary, sort of bringing you in, mate. Going to get the stats up yesterday with the game yesterday, first half, second half, but not so much to concentrate on that. But there you have it. Quite similar in the first half. Like I said, England were very comfortable, but for those last 10, 15 minutes, they just completely lost ascendancy. But what they did do well, England, is they scored early in both halves, which absolutely in the second half absolutely killed the game for me. Ukraine were tired, and you could see that with their performance, particularly in the second half. The life got sort of sucked out of them. But there's an individual I want to talk about who I sort of want to get your thoughts, Gary. Let me get him up on screen because he had a very good tournament so far. This man, Luke Shaw. To give you a bit of context, Gary, before you sort of give us your opinion of him, what I will say is I'll take it back to World Cup 2014. England had a disastrous tournament. We're effectively out after the first two games, losing both to Uruguay and Italy. Luke Shaw comes in for his first game for England, I believe, at left back, man of the match performance. I think about a week later, 2 weeks later, Louis van Gaal becomes the boss of Manchester United. Publicly calls out Luke Shaw in terms of not being fit enough. And I was like, at the time, I was like, wow, like he said that after the guy made a debut for England and was man of the match. So I thought, wow, that's quite a thing to say. And obviously, we know about the thing about Mourinho talking about Luke Shaw and his time at Manchester United. But yeah, Gary, what have you made of Luke Shaw this tournament? I mean, he had a great, obviously, season with Manchester United. But what have you made of him this tournament, mate?
I've enjoyed watching him. He's done really well. I can't necessarily go too much into details because I guess I kind of look at the game a little differently the way that a lot of British fans probably do. Today I did go back and watch the game a couple of times, and you notice him out there. He's definitely out there commanding that side of the field, and it was and I think to me as a whole, you look and you see a well-tuned team out there, and he's one of those players that does that. So I really good at on the ball, commanding that one side, up attacking up the side. When I was watching, I was trying to think. I was thinking to myself, all right, when I'm going to compare him to a Tierney, and from a defensive side, I feel like he's really good. He's to me he looks a lot better. So I'm like comparing him to what I think is a good play on the left side there, and he definitely is a lot better to me than what I've seen from Tierney. So and I think that's what England needs, and you're seeing that with the stats, right? We talk about not really looking at the stats, but teams are getting some opportunities, but not much, right? And I think that's from the entire back line, and Shaw's one of the reasons why when he's out there. So he had a really good game. I mean, I know some people said he was man of the match from the way that he played. I think that he came up as one. And you don't, when you look at a 4-0 match, you don't sometimes think about is it the goals that went in? Was 100%. It the assists that were made, or was it all those things that happened before the touch, before the the pass, before the kick, all of that stuff? And he's one of those people that is the reason why that happens, right? Because I did, there were, in the middle of the field, I think things were a little kind of like a little shaky. I think on the outsides, on the left side, because I know Kyle Walker had his time when it wasn't so good.
No, it wasn't, and you probably saw that on the live stream yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, one of the plays that stands out is I think Stones is trying to make a pass to Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire's watching it, and he's like, "Oh, was that for me?" To me, the defense basically started to. It seemed like they just kind of fell asleep a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that as much when I was looking at Shaw, but I definitely feel as a whole, the entire group was basically, it looked like, oh, this is no, you cannot fall asleep. And, like you said, you cannot fall asleep in an international game because teams now, there isn't like the next game where they can make things up.
No,
Now there isn't that. There's only the next touch of the ball. So guess what? They're going to come at you for the whole 90, especially if you keep things close. And so yeah, I like what I saw from Shaw. I think definitely the best defensive play there in the game. All around both sides to me. So I like to see that. Can't go into. I guess I don't have the specifics, but I just, like I said, I went back and looked at it because Penny said he had a really good game, so I went back and looked at him, and he looked pretty sound to me there playing. And every time he got a touch of the ball, everything, good things were happening. So I think England's should be happy to have him there.
Yeah, 100%. So I was just touching on very quickly about Kane and Sterling. A lot's been said about these two probably more than any other two players if you take Jack Grealish out of the equation. Obviously, we mentioned the stats before in terms of goal involvements and goals and assists. I get why Southgate perseveres with Kane and the likes of Sterling and Mason Mount and Jordan Pickford, because those are the mainstays of his side. Do you think, watching that game yesterday in particular, I would say probably with Raheem Sterling more so than Kane, how important they are to this England side?
Yeah, man, Raheem the Dream Sterling, man. He's making the dreams known, fam. He's granting all those wishes. Now he's you know what? I said it, you know what? My only sort of problem with Sterling is, if he had end product, he honestly, and I said this on the stream, he would honestly match numbers of Messi and Ronaldo. And that's not an easy feat. But he genuinely, his runs, his sort of timing on things, so fantastic. And the way he can drive that ball into good positions to make things happen. It's just when he gets there, he doesn't seem to always make the right decision. And I'm not saying it has to be 100% like success rate, but it's like 20% or 30%. Or most of the time, you're not confident something can happen. And that's, I think, the problem. But yeah, he's that's what I say. Like, he's such a frustrating player, and I think when I'm criticizing a player, it's just because I know you can do so much better. That's all it is for me. I don't hate the guy. I think he is a phenomenal player. Like, he is, and I can understand why we persevere, and not even persevere. Like, he deserves to be in that team, in my opinion. And I know, Albert, you said like at the beginning with the season he's had, and I said no. You take a player like that regardless of whether you start him. That's a different question. And I think that's the question with Raheem Sterling at the beginning of the tournament, whether you start him. But to say, like, for me, 100% you take him in tournaments until he's like old or he's not really got the legs or something.
I think sorry, I don't think it. This is my opinion, obviously, and I wasn't the only one because he played particularly well for Man City last few months of the season, but I knew Southgate would pick him. The team. The likes of Kane, Sterling, Pickford, those are the guys that he will always go to, regardless. He will never bow to public pressure, Gareth Southgate. He's not that way inclined.
On them things,
he won't. There's no non-negotiables to that. So.
But I think you do have to give him credit on that, because Pickford, let's be real, didn't have the best of seasons. No. He had moments that were all right, but like nothing that you think, oh yeah, let's start him. But he's been phenomenal. Raheem Sterling, again, another player who's not had the best of season, considering the fact he does play for Man City and he's got a brilliant setup to not play. Like, the thing is, I can understand, if he was in a bad setup or something, and he was like Saka, for example. Saka stood out in a bad system or in a bad team, should I say. I can understand that. Even with Grealish to an extent, like Aston Villa's had a good but I think they should have finished a lot higher than 10th, in my opinion, with the way they were going. But then obviously, as soon as Grealish came out of that team with that injury that he had, you could see how good he is. And I think that's why you take certain players, because they can offer you something different, and that's what Sterling does. His output, to be fair, like, I can understand why people say they don't want Sterling in this team. It's more down to kind of is the amount of, because he's not going to always get 3, 4, 5 chances to score a goal. He might in a game get 2 or 3, or that might be the whole chances we create. And if it's falling to him and he's not taking them, then it's more than justified to say maybe it's time to take him out and bring someone who's going to maybe take those chances. But the problem is, I think there's very little players in the world of football. Forget about England and what England can produce that can do what Sterling does. And it's the way he holds his runs. It's the way he times his runs.
Great timing,
To literal I can't tell you when he's offside. Like, that's how mad it is. You know, with players, you can say, "Oh yeah, he was offside." Then he had a few offside. But with Sterling, it's so rare. When he's offside, you're like, "What the fuck? He was offside." Are you sure you want to check VAR on that one? Because he might not be. And that's the mad thing about it. And I think with Kane, I think the frustration comes down to what he did for Spurs. He wasn't doing for England. He wasn't scoring goals. He wasn't creating, and I said this in the group stages, and I mean this, and I still stand by it. He was just getting in the way, and I say it again. He's in
the wrong areas of the pitch. Yeah.
And now when he's done what I've said, where he seemed like he still does drop back, but he does it with a good balance. He knows when he needs to go into the box, and he knows when to stick in the box because Sterling's going to make something happen, or Luke Shaw's going to make something happen, or whoever the wing backs are, and I think that's now what I like. It's the fact he's now adapted, and he's thank God he's adapted now, because we kind of do need him. His ability, it's not, look, when you've got this talent, you need them to do what they're good at. And I'm glad it's come now at a good time when we're in a semi-final. Obviously, to be fair, we wouldn't be here without the likes of Kane and Sterling. So you've got to give them their props, regardless of how they started. They've definitely pulled through, and they've kind of, Sterling's continued, and then Kane's caught up now in terms of he's now also performing to the ability that we know he can. And I think it's a good time to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Gary, before I bring you in terms of your man of the match, and also what you made of Declan Rice in this tournament. Guys, audio listeners, if you hear some lovely, enticing music, it's a little intro to subscribe to the channel. So people should know what to do. And there you have it once again, people. Smash that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel, and also my amazing guest channel as well. And their Twitter handles are going below the bottom of the screen. So Gary, yes, sort of a loaded question, but I'll take it whatever way you want to take it. Declan Rice, what have you made of his England? What have you made of his performances in this tournament so far? And your man in the match for yesterday.
Okay. All right. This is a tough one for me. But here we go. Yeah, no, I it's probably not, I don't have a lot to say about Declan Rice, even though, I mean, this is, I mean, if you look, you watch the matches, the middle of the pitch, I mean, I felt like we had good control of it. And that's, the pair, him and Phillips playing in there.
Very good pivot. Very good.
I think they them together looked really good. I couldn't see too much wrong there. That's the thing. So I guess for me, one of the things that I don't have as much as I would probably want to have to say about what I saw there when I watched the replays, and that didn't seem to be where any of the problems were. Sometimes, there were some breakdowns that went through the middle, but a lot of times I kind of felt like I wasn't seeing a lot of negatives from them in the game. So for me, I think Rice did, he did well for me. I think Phillips kind of, to me, actually, I saw him, when something was happening, he seemed to do a lot more. So I saw his presence was a lot bigger for me there. Rice, sitting back or whatever, being the support as he was, I didn't see his influence in the game as much as I probably would have, to say how much I thought of his game. That's kind of what I saw. Yeah, like a lot of times when you're trying to analyze, you look at the game, you're like, all right, are you talking about them because they're making mistakes, or are you talking about them because they're making some really good plays? Declan was just in there, and I think not making any mistakes, not shining brightly or anything like that, and that's a good thing, because I think like I said, as a whole, 11 players, England looks really, really solid, right?
Mm.
When you think of the 11, there are some blips there. There are some gaps. There are some times when, as a team, they kind of fall asleep a little bit. But in general, not much negative to say there when you talk about the squad as a whole. So I kind of feel like I mean, nothing negative for me. There might be some things there, but I kind of feel like when we talk about Phillips, and maybe that's because he puts himself out there, because he might take some more risks than Declan Rice does, and that's why you talk about him sometimes in a positive and a negative light. That's kind of what I saw from there. So that's my thoughts on Declan Rice. I don't know if you saw more and can elaborate on that. But
you know what it was, okay. The reason why I asked that is, and Sol might back me up, is because he played well in the first game against Croatia, and as you understand with Twitter world, they just go in when the next game was just completely chalk and cheese. Rice and Phillips, they can't play. Then offer like relax, man. Like he played well. He's done all right. They didn't. They wasn't great. The England performance wasn't great against Scotland, but it's just. I just think it's just a case of the simple fact of Twitter world. Just when it comes to England, anyway, and I should just lose it. Next minute they'll be saying Declan Rice should sign for Arsenal. That's just how it is. That's how some of the footballing brain works sometimes. But so it's coming to you, mate. Who is your man of the match yesterday, mate?
Oh, I said it and I'll say it again. Raheem the Dream Sterling.
You get to Sterling?
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, right, he did everything before the stuff happened. And that's what I look at. I look at who's making this happen. Like Luke Shaw wouldn't have the assist if it wasn't for the flick on that, the drag back flick on that Sterling did. And Sterling was just running the show. And that's the mad thing. Like, I don't really look at who got the assist or who got the goal. That's easy. I can do that if I wanted to. I could just look. I don't even have to watch the game to do that man of the match. But for me, I just think the way he ran the show and he made things happen, and that's the reason I'm giving it him.
Okay, with me, I think I said it yesterday. Luke Shaw played really well. I thought the two boys in midfield were very good. Maguire's, he's influence on the team at centre back. It can't be ignored. It's not. I'll get the whole slabhead comments and all that rubbish, but he's very integral to England. But I actually gave it to Kane, and I said why on the live stream is because the way he was sort of getting. We've obviously been on the platform. We've criticised him from what we've seen, but the way he was getting hammered after the first 3 group games, I just thought, you know what? And I said to Souls when we did the preview for the Germany game that I just got a feeling he's going to score. I don't know. People might think I was talking absolute rubbish after what he performed in the first 3 games, but I just had a feeling he was going to score against Germany. Got the goal in a very important game against a team that we don't do very well against. And he came up trumps yesterday. And I'll tell you something. If he'd have got if he'd have scored that goal and hit that volley, Jesus Christ, that would have been one of the best hat-tricks I've seen in a long, long time. And I thought, you know what? For the stick you've taken to come up with them goals yesterday and almost getting that hat-trick goal, I thought, you know what, fair play, mate. And I think he did actually get star of the match as well. But yeah, I kind of gave it to Kane. I thought, you know what, you come late to the party, but you have come to the party. So that's my man of the match. Guys, we've come to the end of the stream.
I didn't get my man of the match because I kind of just I passed it on to you before I got a chance to, because I hadn't really thought about it though. But this whole tournament we've been saying Sterling, Kane, Sterling, Kane. So at some point, both of them would have to kind of show up, right? I think they both showed up, especially the way that first goal went, because that's kind of the stuff you expect to see, right? The fact that I'm also watching Kane take, drawing fouls means he's engaged, right? And we weren't getting that in those first 3 group games, right? No. He's usually, when he's engaged, the other team knows it because they're pissed off at him because he did something to them, right? And it had nothing to do with scoring. And he was doing that in this game. Like, he kind of woke up and wait a second, I can do more than just, score a goal here. I'm going to actually, I'm going to punish this team whenever they give me an opportunity to go down. I'm going to go down, and he did that. He did that a lot, right? He put himself in the positions that we want to see him in the box, in the middle.
Yeah,
ball comes to you, and boom. I think Ukraine, in a sense, kind of as they kind of, I don't know what they were doing on defense, but they kind of just like stood there and watched in awe as he jumped in the air and put his head through the ball. So and that's what happened on, I guess, the 3 goals that we scored in the second half. So I'm hoping they can take that 5 minutes and say, you know what, let's take those first 5 minutes, build on that, because we want to see that a lot more throughout our next match, because we're going to need it. Denmark, as we said, their defense is going to be stout, right? It's going to be really, really good. So you're going to have to bring what you kind of, the way that you played, where you take advantage of whatever they give you, because it won't be much. And when it comes, you got to be able to put that ball in a position for somebody to score, right? Sterling, like you said, his finishing needs help, but I think for me, it's the times when he made the assist. I want more of that, but a lot of times what he does, for me anyways, is he puts himself in trouble. He gets himself in trouble. For some reason, he just dribbles right into the heart of the defense, and he has no answers for it. And you're like, why did you go there? There's 3 defensive players. You at least go out to the wing or something and let your teammates come in, and then maybe you can get around. But he kind of that's what he was doing early. I didn't see it as much in his last game, and hopefully that's he's worked those kinks out. But that he does it every once in a while, where you're kind of like, where are you going with that ball? The defender didn't even move, and you dribble right into them. It's like you're really fast, right? He's a really fast player, off and on the ball, and you're like, what am I seeing here? Where the defender just stands there, and then the kind of ball just comes to them. No, just I think that's where when you look at him, you're like, there's so much there. There is so much there that I'm not getting, and that's why I'm disappointed in what I see. It's because he's not giving us to us, and he can. We can see it. I mean, I kind of feel like the things that you would see in a city game, they're like, no, we don't do that. We don't just give the ball away. We don't do that. We're pretty clean with the ball. We make really clean passes, really clean decisions, really the right decisions. We don't kind of turn the ball over, and we continue to press and press and press. And that's what England has, and they should be able to do that with the team they have, is continue to put pressure on the team. And Denmark eventually will break if you continue to do that. If you give them openings, they will take it and run through it. So it's important that they do that. I mean, I mean, I would like to see Grealish in the next game.
A lot of people would.
From Russ down there, but I'd like to see that, because I kind of feel like, you're going to need to have your best players coming out.
Yeah, it's at that stage now. You can't leave it any later. This is semi-final time. So Southgate, listen, he may do. We're not in his head. We don't know. I just think they're going to be a very difficult team to break down. So if you're not going to play him in the semi-final in order to get to a final, then when are you going to play him? And that's the thing. Listen, we're not England managers, thank God. But big up to Gary and Solzy coming on. Great show, man. Big up to the people in the chat. Give us your virtual waves and hugs if you want to, man. It'd be much appreciated. People, smash the like button, like I said. Subscribe to my esteemed guest's channel and their Twitter handles as well. So, Gary, once again, thank you for coming back on the show. Loyal supporter.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always welcome, man. So, hopefully there'll be more content coming up in terms of Euro 2020. Hopefully.
Yes. But, at least one more match, right?
Yeah.
Just one more match with a home team playing in the home stadium in a European tournament. So that would be nice.
Yeah, guys, just give your channel a plug before we go, bro.
Yep. So DWTT is the YouTube channel. Arsenal content. Try to do the reviews after the game. What I see, what I hear, and what I feel kind of is what you're going to get. Don't waste a tweet on Twitter. And then, I'm pretty much everywhere, as most people will say in the chats, or once in a while I get to go on screen. But Arsenal Fan Circle is where it's kind of where I am twice a week. So, check me out there on Sundays and Thursdays.
Yeah, there you go, people. Go and subscribe to Arsenal Fan Channel as well, people. Go and do it, people. So, my co-host, we've got a few shows left to do, irrespective. But Thanks for being my amazing co-host this series, man. It's been a blast to me. Where can the people find you, bro?
Yeah, they can find tomorrow 7 o'clock for the preview to the Denmark game.
Ooh,
good guest coming on. I don't know when that'll be revealed on Twitter. So obviously follow Albert on his Twitter, and obviously you can find me on Gunnar Souls on YouTube and on Twitter. And like I said, it's coming home. So let's get the party started. I said it again and I'll say it again. It's just a formality. We have to play the semi-final and the final. They can just hand it over now if they really wanted to, but they want the entertainment. They want that, spark. They want the 66 when we were at home in Wembley and we won that World Cup. I want to see that happen because I wasn't born. Clearly, I'm 22. That happened far before I was born. So give me my memory. Give me something I can tell my kids. Yeah, we actually did do something finally. So that's
you know what, God, you joke about it. You make a very, very, very good point because that's the thing. I've seen a lot of England. Like I keep saying, I've seen some tournaments that have been horrendous. I've seen some very poor ones. I've seen some good ones. Not many good ones. But yeah, give us to see England in the major final of a major tournament is something that it'd be incredible, to be totally honest with you. And you know what, Southgate, just give yourself an opportunity to let them players go out there and express themselves in the way to get this job done and get England into a major final. We've seen in many, many sports where Britain or England have done well with the likes of Andy Murray, the women in the women's Rugby World Cup, the men's Rugby World Cup. Cricket teams been in the Ashes. In other sports, we've done brilliantly well. Just football, we can't get to that final, but there's a massive opportunity come Wednesday. So, people, that is the show done. Yeah, Albert J TV over and out. Hashtag Ukraine 0, England 4. We're back to Wembley on Wednesday. Come on, you Lions.